Hello, everyone. I'm Joanne Binford, and welcome to Binford Chronicles. We're just 15 months away from the 2026 elections. Can you believe it? It's hard to believe Trump has been in office for 6 months and 17 days. That's right, 6 months and 17 days. Doesn't it feel like he's been in there so much longer? But at the same time, it feels like it's really short. Like we have a short time with him. Like he's going to be gone pretty quick. 4 years is going to come up so fast. So guys, it's time for us to start gearing up for our next local and state elections. They're coming up. So you got to ask yourself, are you looking to be represented by a constitutionalist? Does that even matter to you? Are you one of those one issue voters? Are you looking for an America First representative? Do you want to see America First policies? Because America First policies are about us, the actual American citizens. Do you want representatives that work hard for our veterans? What's happening to our veterans? They're suffering these days. So what I'm going to bring to you today is Jason Voelz. Today, Binford Chronicles is going to dive into it with Jason Voelz, candidate for Florida State Senate District Seat 8. A few of his focus points are education, talking about the veterans, how do we help the veterans, rezoning and development, of course, homeowners insurance, that's our favorite subject, isn't it? And taxes. Just think about that. This is going to be a great show. So what I'm going to ask you is to stick around to meet Jason Voelz, Jason Voelz, and we'll be right back after this break.
Hello, District 8. I'm Jason Voelz, your candidate for Florida State Senate. We're here today at Veteran Memorial Park here in Deltona, Florida. What I would like to discuss with you today is a recent Volusia County meeting where they discussed having Volusia the most veteran-friendly county in the state. Are you aware that 12% of Volusia population alone are veterans? Of that, 10% own a home. Currently, a disabled veteran with 10% or more disability receives a $5,000 tax exemption off their assessed value. A disabled veteran with 100% disability receives a $5,000 tax credit. It's been over 3 months with no real solutions or further discussions. I challenge the County Council to lower or eliminate all county taxes for our veterans. If they can't do it, it will be my top priority as your senator at the state level. From my family to yours, have a fun and safe Memorial Day weekend. And let's never forget those who serve. I'm Jason Voelz, your candidate for Florida State Senate.
Welcome back to Binford Chronicles. Today we're diving into it with Jason Voelz, candidate for Florida State Senate District 8 seat. Welcome back, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really nice to have you back. We missed last month. It was a really busy month, but I'm so glad to have you back this month. I was on my way to work last week and the teachers were all on campus getting their classrooms ready for the new school year, and traffic picked up. So now I have to time it 5 minutes a little bit earlier, because that 5 minutes just makes such a big difference. And once the school buses are on the road and the teachers are on the road, we're all going to have to drive more safely, and it's going to take a little bit longer. So Jason, have you noticed the morning traffic increase and the school parking lots filled with cars?
Yeah, and I'm dreading the increase coming back up in the next couple of weeks here. But it's good to get the kids back in school. It's for a good reason. So it'd be different if you're sitting on I-4 bumper to bumper, I guess.
Yeah. Our school district here is starting a pilot classical school, and it's basically an attempt to be more competitive, gain student enrollment, and raise student achievement. Because we've had over the last year, maybe year and a half, 2 years, I want to say, a lot of parents pulling their kids out and homeschooling. So that's been a big issue with the decline of students in the public schools. So our superintendent has gotten really competitive and aggressive. And I have to give him kudos for, moving forward and trying to get those grades up, because as you know, we're on a sliding scale. The whole nation is way below the standard. So now to get an A school, you can be in the 60 percentile. So what kind of challenges are Brevard County schools facing?
Well, Brevard and Volusia, they have a pretty big task when it comes to competing with the private schools or the home schools. School choice, there's a big push for that, and there's a lot of support from parents, rightfully so. The question here is, how is the private schools able to do it for the same price or cheaper and better? Those are things that, I always kind of ask myself, if there's a push for private school and our kids are going that direction, what are they doing that we can do in the private or the public schools to mimic that?
Yeah, well, the thing with the difference between that I see right up front with the private schools and the public schools is private schools, they don't have to keep the kids there. Public schools have no choice. If your kids are acting up, they're out of control, they're crazy, or even in Florida, if your kid has too many disabilities that the private school can't accommodate, your kid doesn't go to school there. But public school takes everybody, anybody, even, if it's causing a disruption in the classroom, they put up with a lot. So it's really different in that sense. The other thing is the schools did get a little bit political. They started getting into this DEI, SEL, CRT, all that stuff, transgender names. We had to go through this whole process of getting it out of the schools. And that's really how we lost a lot of students when COVID came around and parents were actually looking over the shoulders of their kids doing schoolwork on their computers. So the schools actually did get, in my opinion, politicized when they started messing around with that critical race theory, DEI, diversity and inclusion, instead of being merit-based, focusing on education. So I think we probably, like our superintendent is doing, he's getting back on track, and he's talking about education, that we're getting rid of these subjects that have nothing to do with education. Your kid's not going to get a job through DEI. He's going to get a job on a skill that he has or she has, the knowledge that they have and the ability that they have to be articulate and communicate. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, there's a real big push to be the #1 state in workforce education by 2023. There's been a lot of investment at the state level to make that happen. And I think that's the way we should be moving forward with our education system, at least have more accessibilities to those options. Because let's face it, not every kid that graduates is going to go to college. They're going to be in the workforce. Having workforce education that might gear them to a certain career path earlier than years down the road after they graduate, it gives them a purpose, and it to me is more fruitful for our kids in public school than what we have right now.
So what you're saying is, like, we really should bring back those shop classes.
Yes.
Even the high school in our town here at Indian River County, when I first moved here in 2004, the high school actually had an agricultural class, and they actually had a little farm where the kids went to and they kept cows, which was actually beneficial because University of Florida has a huge ag department, and our students would go from this school to UF and graduate UF in agriculture. But they got rid of that, so we don't have that anymore. And they got rid of some other shop classes that we don't have. And those are the blue collar jobs that, plumbers, we have to fight almost every year just for the metal shop.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the correct way to sheet metal shop. And we had one kid come to the school board meeting who he wasn't a kid anymore. He was like in his 20s, but he said he left school with a certificate, went and advanced his education, and he was only like 21 or 22 at the time, and he says, I'm making $65,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that's a blue collar worker in his jeans with his mask on, doesn't have to pay for a suit to go to work. He's making good money in his 20s,
Yeah.
you know.
And that's a great example. Not just your traits is what I call them, but other things too. We can gear this towards technology as well. You know, I think there's a charter school in Sanford, the Coombs Academy, that is geared specifically towards technology. That's a really good future type stuff for our kids. But yeah, absolutely. Wood shop, metal shop, mechanic, those apprentice type jobs that they can graduate and have a decent job once they graduate. Now they graduate where they're going to work at a restaurant, washing dishes or cooking.
Yeah, and we forget that the apprenticeship jobs really bring in math to the whole picture. If you're an electrician,
Yes.
there are still things you need to use math for to do electrical work. If you're a builder or carpenter, you use the ruler all the time. And these are things that really make learning exciting, because now, especially for these kids that have no intention to go to college, that are more hands-on and kinetic, they will learn and know that, hey, I'm getting a skill, I can go do a job. You know,
Yeah.
these guys, they graduate, they really don't want to go to college. That they don't even see where the education's going, you know, because they're not going to be intellectuals. They want to, you know, use their hands. They want to build things, or they want to be outdoors. Some guys and girls don't want to go outdoors. When I was at the high school working there, I saw more young ladies getting into car mechanics than I had ever seen. And I loved it, because there's girls out there that are tomboys that love doing things with their hands. And those types of shops in school, and they start them in middle school. Remember, I'm a little bit older than you, but when I went to school, shop class started in middle school. When you signed up for 6th grade, you picked your gym class and your shop class. And
Yeah,
we should really bring that back.
We absolutely should. We didn't have shop class until I was in high school, but even home ec, you know, the type of stuff that will translate and better our kids to make it be successful in the real world. Those are all important things that, you know, have been lost along the way for some reason, or defunded, or you know, have a shortage on teachers. You know, there are a lot of classes that we have where it's a substitute teacher, right? It's not even a real teacher teaching it. It's somebody filling a spot. And I don't want to call them a babysitter for a period where they have your child, but if we don't have skilled teachers teaching these subjects, is it even really worth saying we have it, right? So think of it, if you have a shop class, a mechanic teaching, how much do you have to pay that teacher to pull him out of a shop where he's probably making 6 figures to go teach a class? So we have to incentivize the teachers to teach these traits as well.
Yeah, and we also, you know, I was talking when I was running for county commission down here in Indian River County, I went and spoke to, you know, blue collar businesses, and I asked them, you know, what's the struggle? And they said, you know, I says, why don't you teach a class? Like, what would it take to get someone with your profession, your skill, your background to spend a week at one day at the high school teaching kids your skill? And he says, this is a problem. We've tried it in the past. I don't know if it's still that issue today, but he said, in order to teach a shop class on school property and get paid for it, you would have to be like a teacher. like get a certificate or something as a teacher. And he's like, I went to college to do what I'm doing. Why do I have to go and be certified to teach it? This is a business shop. This isn't like I'm teaching English, math, and science. I'm teaching my profession, and it shouldn't be that hard to participate in the school. So that might be something to look at. You know, if you're going to focus on education, you might want to look into that and find out, hey, what business partners would be interested in doing that, and what are the roadblocks? You know,
that is definitely something to look into for sure. I think we're on to something.
Yeah, because education is the tool that brings confidence in the students, and it teaches them their worth, their value. And I like when I went to school, you said you didn't start shop class till high school. I don't know why they waited so late, unless they were doing more technical things in high school. But our shop classes were, you know, sewing, cooking, home economics, print. Well, I'm older, so we had the printing press. Where you actually had the plates and you printed the school paper. It was like a one sheet.
Really?
Yeah, we did that. And my first shop class was in 6th grade. And then we did wood shop. I did wood shop in 7th grade. I did drafting in 8th grade. And then we went to high school. And then your shop classes progressed to more difficult shop classes. But we still had some shop classes in middle school, which kind of sets the pace. I think if you start a kid younger, they're more likely to develop the skills and the discipline to want to do the shop classes. But if they're spoiled, if you spoil a kid every day without having to have any challenge in anything that involves hands or building, and then you give it to them in high school when they're going through puberty and they're talking about dating and you know, going out at night, you've kind of lost the moment, you know. I don't know if that makes any sense. It does to me, because I took shop classes at a younger age. But I wanted to put up a little video of Brevard County, because Dr. Rendell, I love Dr. Rendell. So if Rendell hears this, hi, I miss you at Indian River County Schools. I loved you as a superintendent. He has his faults like everybody else, but he did not rehire this teacher. I'm going to throw it up here. It's an article, and it is called, in case nobody knows about this, in Brevard County, Satellite Beach High School, there was a teacher that used the pronouns of a student. And this was in March of 2025, after the law had been implemented in 2023. The 2023 Florida Board of Educators rule. The student used preferred names tied to gender, and the student's legal name and biological gender didn't match those names. So that's what this is about, this article. And she wanted to come back to school because what happened was a little less than a week after Florida Department of Education committee cleared a Brevard teacher to return to the classroom after she was ousted for using a student's chosen name without parental permission. Brevard Public School Superintendent Mark Rendell said the district would not rehire her. What happened is she went through her court case, and in addition to going on probation, the settlement provisions included a written letter of reprimand and a fee of $750 to be paid. So she did all that and wanted to apply to work. And Dr. Rendell stated, while the state has chosen to allow this individual to retain their certification under probation, I believe it's appropriate that the full term of that probation be completed before my consideration, did I say that right? Yeah, of employment. It sounded funny, didn't it? Yeah. So, you know, this is a little bit of a controversy for some people, but for me, it makes a lot of sense. What do you think, Jason?
Well, Dr. Rendell, is that the doctor's name?
Yeah, Dr. Rendell. He is the superintendent of Brevard County Schools.
He has a standard, and he's holding true to his standard, and I support that. I mean, obviously you take things case by case, but to be suspended for a year, whatever took place, and the board came up with this result, she's suspended for or on probation for a year. If he has every right to not hire her. It sounds like she probably needs to go out and find another job until her
I
probation
agree
date.
with that, because when you go to hire to apply for employment at a school, they do a whole background check. They check your criminal record. They check if you've been arrested, if you've been put on probation. And at that point, they can decide whether they want to take you or not, forgive your mistakes or not. So for him to say, look, complete your probation, you obviously broke the law. Oh, this law was made in 2023 and you still went against it. And you violated the Florida's parental rights in education by doing this behind the parents. So he's standing with the parents and he's standing with the law, and he's saying, look, do your time and then we'll look at it. He's not making any promise he's going to hire her, but do your time, be accountable.
And we don't know what the probationary period entails either. There's no telling what they might tack on as far as, hey, you can't one screw up and you're fired type deal. If that's the case, why take the chance? The law's put in place for a reason. She obviously broke that law on purpose, and the board handed down a verdict, and now she has to live with it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to be accountable for their actions today. I mean, they want to be, oh, I'm a good person, please forgive me. It doesn't happen that way. Look, the rules, what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. It's never appropriate to do something that a parent might not want their child to do. And that, calling a student by their gender name or anything other than teaching them the education they're there to learn is inappropriate, and that's my opinion, because when I send my kids to school, my kids are in their 30s now, 28 and 30. When I send my kids to school, I expect them to be learning an education that has nothing to do with their sexual orientation. We're not focusing on that. Like when you go to work, you don't go into work and hang out and tell dirty jokes. You don't go to work and wear your shortest shorts that are comfortable. You don't go to work in your golf shorts. You go to work dressed appropriately, and there is a code of conduct at work, and there should be a code of conduct at school, because they're there. Their job is to be educated.
Absolutely right. And there's a law in place to prevent what she did, and she did it knowingly. So, I mean, if anything, she shouldn't have agreed to the terms of, because I guess the punishment was agreed upon, correct? A plea bargain in there?
Yeah, she reached a settlement with the Florida Department of Education on July 30th, which allowed her to return to teaching on a 1-year probation. So they didn't take her certificate away. They said, you can teach, but you're on probation. And in addition to that, to the probation, the settlement provisions included a written letter of reprimand. So they reprimanded her, and then they charged her $750. Now that's what the deal they made with her. But he's still the superintendent of his schools.
Yeah, he has every right not to hire and fire as he sees fit. That's what he was put in the position for.
Yeah, and we're not talking about a kindergarten teacher. She is let's see, we'll see her credentials here. She is an AP, an English literature AP teacher. She teaches the highest level students.
Yeah.
So she's not hanging out with remedial students. She is an educated young woman. She's teaching the challenging literature, and English and the language and all that stuff. So we're not talking about a teacher that just does artwork.
Yeah. So she made her bed. Now she has to lay in it.
Yeah, and I think once people are more accountable, it really changes their attitude because they start thinking, "Oh, you know what? It's not worth it. It really isn't worth it. Let me stay focused on what's important, and what's important is educating our children and making sure they get out of school at 90% literacy, which we are now on the sliding scale where the schools are making A's at 60 and 65% literacy. That's just humiliating as a nation.
Yeah, yeah. We've kind of lowered the bar a little bit.
We have lowered it quite a bit. So, Jason, let's talk about rezoning for development. You know, I imagine Brevard County residents, like Indian River County residents, may have an opposition to high density housing development. Now, I remember we had a discussion on the flooding issues that occur with poor zoning and development. You even did like a little video on that, right?
Sure did, yeah.
You did. So I have a clip I want to share with you regarding the flooding in Orange City back in 2024. And I don't know if our viewers have caught on to this or have seen it, but I'm going to share it so that they also have it in their heads and they understand what happened over there. So I'm gonna throw this clip up here.
As if the high water isn't bad enough for these people, there's a side effect. Drivers you're finding are making detours through people's front yards to get around the water.
Exactly. I don't think anybody wants tire marks all over their front yards, but unfortunately, it's been the case for this family. Now, Grays Avenue is a pretty big road. Right up the road, they have an elementary school there. So with the water and the barricades blocking these stretches of roads, folks are getting around the problem by creating another one.
I noticed that the tracks started coming further up. You can see there's a couple tracks here where they go straight through the yard.
This is surveillance video of several people driving through Michael Demeter's front yard to avoid barricades set up by Orange City to block off Grays Avenue. And this video right here shows a car plowing right through the barricades.
We put up these chains. Police officer put up this crime scene tape. We've tried everything.
People move the barricades to get through, yes.
Oh.
That has happened 5 times a day, every day since the flooding.
Oh, wow.
And they've gone through that guy's yard multiple times.
Neighbors say that Graves Avenue has been blocked off since Hurricane Milton hit.
It makes my commute to work a bit longer. I have to go out and around to get to I-4. Normally I would just shoot straight up, but it takes way longer now.
The roadway and several homes nearby are still experiencing flooding. The lingering effects of Hurricane Milton can still be seen all across town, including this massive hole here on Montessori Road.
The city did tell me that originally that they believe it's compromised, and if vehicles continue to drive through it, it's going to do the same thing that happened there.
Demeter says that he just wants the nightmare to end.
Well, I really think if they posted somebody here, it's not going to hinder their response time to an emergency because it's literally right down the road. Just have somebody sit here. I'm telling you, it'll stop them.
Wow, there's a few issues with that. Can you see that?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Orange City was one of the harder hit cities in Volusia. In Graves, that road was closed for months, probably close to 4 or 5 months before they got that under control. City officials have their work cut out trying to get things corrected over there.
Yeah. Do you think that had partially to do with poor planning and zoning when they were building that area up, or what do you think is part of that issue?
It's a lot of different issues that have made a perfect storm. Irresponsible development, infrastructure failing or not in place to really handle those situations. There's not one thing to fix all of this. It's multiple things, and that's why they have a big task at hand, not just for Orange City, but for Volusia and other counties in the state.
Wow. Yeah. And how's the rest of the development going on? Your infrastructure, your roads, how are the businesses working out with all this building going on around them? What's happening?
We have a lot of building going on in my area. Some of it good, some of it not. You know, it just depends on who you ask. Um, the reality is each city, along with each county, have a flood management plan. And it's very complex, detailed planning to make sure that the flooding is at least mitigated as much as we can with development. Uh, the problem is we're not following those plans, or we're not updating those plans like we should as we build more and more. Uh, the reality is you know, half the stuff we have in place infrastructure wise for flooding, it's outdated. It's, you know, made for half the population that was when it was put in place, you know, 20, 30 years ago. So we haven't really progressed with how we've grown. What they call it, growing pains for business. We're seeing that now, and you know, as local officials are now having to deal with stuff that they should have been dealt with, you know, 15, 20 years ago. Um, it's a part of, you know, our society is as we get bigger.
Yeah, you know, I'm wondering what trend Indian River County is following, because, you know, I used to look at Brevard County like I kind of liked how they planned it out, you know, because they had businesses, yet they had the areas where you had nice homes, you had backyards, and it was a bigger area. It was spread out. And right now, I don't know what model we're following, because we seem to be building a lot of gas stations, uh, what do you call it? Those storage units and car washes. Is Brevard County going through the same trend?
Yeah, a lot of the state is going through the trends together. It seems like, but the biggest thing here is having a plan in place. You know, to me, all the land that's available, at least in my area, pretty much in wetland. There's not a lot of dry land left to build on. So we are potentially building on flood zones, anything that we put up now. So I think the last flood management plan that I was reading, 50%, at least in Volusia, of undeveloped land is in a flood zone. So there's a 50% chance whatever is being built is in a flood zone and has the possibility of flooding on the next storm.
Wow. Wow. Well, what about after it floods? How's the reaction time of the town getting together, cleaning it up and getting that road back operational? What's the response time on that?
Unfortunately, with Milton, the response time was good. And because we just went through Ian, and we kind of experienced a lot of things that same exact things with Ian. So it was kind of like a rinse and repeat. They already knew how to kind of deal with it from 2 years ago. But there are some things that, you know, like Graves Avenue on the video, where they had a hard time really figuring out where to put the water. And they still do. Orange City still has a problem with, you know, putting water some places in the city. And that's more of a city county battle back and forth. So
Yeah. So Jason, you've been on the campaign trail for, is it a year or a little over a year now?
well, I filed in March, but the primaries for my election are 12 months away. So August, I think it's the 16th of next year.
Wow. So on your campaign trail, you know, you're meeting people, you're going to events, you're having events. What kind of discussions are currently taking place, and are the residents sharing their concerns with you?
Yeah, and it's the biggest thing is listening to what their complaint is. I don't think the biggest complaint that I'm getting is they're not being listened to, and I agree with them. You know, that's one of the biggest issues of why I'm running is, look, with Volusia County, you every single meeting they have somebody standing up there complaining about flooding, and their voice isn't heard. And that's not just on one issue; it's on multiple issues. Example is insurance, right? Tallahassee has screwed up the insurance business. It's going to take somebody that really knows, has a good handle of that market or that industry to fix it. It seems like anytime they try to do something with the insurance business, it's in the wrong direction. So I don't know where they're listening or getting their advice from, but I don't understand why nothing was passed this year in this session. We're going into next session very soon, and that's an election year. So either we're going to have a lot of things take place in this next session, or a lot of things not going to take place. I don't know what direction we're going to take here, but with the push with no property tax, that's a big task. That's going to be a big task. I don't see them coming up with a real solid solution. Look, it's just moving the cups around. We're going to have to find a way to come up with that tax burden some way, shape, or form. If it's not property tax, how do we raise the money to continue operating as we do? And they really haven't come out with a strategy on that. I can't wait to kind of see what develops on that, because it's going to be a lot of money that we're going to have to come up with. So
yeah, and I know DeSantis really wants to alleviate some of that property tax from people who have paid off their homes, and I don't know if that's ever going to come to fruition, because you've got to get it through your representatives to vote on it.
Yeah, it's going to take an amendment to the Constitution to do that. That's going to be really difficult if you don't have a solid plan on how to raise that money. It's never going to pass. You're wasting time on legislation that's not going to pass, and that's why I'm kind of waiting and seeing what takes place on that plan before really saying, that's probably not the best option.
Yeah. And when it comes to homeowners insurance, what advice can you give our homeowners that, they're struggling, like to find, better policies? It seems like the policy goes up, like Citizens, they talk about Citizens a lot, because Citizens came in and they were low in the beginning. And then of course, when the hurricanes hit, Citizens got so many more people. They don't want them to be, over flooded with insurance policies. So they're talking about spreading that out. So it seems every year we're looking for a new and lower policy. Is there hope for homeowners and the fight for affordable insurance? What advice do you have for us?
So the insurance and taxes, that is a driving factor on affordable housing, right? You get those under control, a family can budget. You can't budget if your taxes are going up 10% a year and your insurance is going up 25-30%. I think there was one of the major carriers in Florida just asked for a 31% increase, and the state approved it. So it is in the next 2 years, if we don't get the insurance under control, we're going to have a very serious problem. It's going to drive the housing market in the wrong direction. It's going to cause people to force sell that can't afford the house that they live in.
It's already happening.
Yeah, it is. And not just on homes, but condos as well. Condos, that they've taken a big hit too. They're trying to get that under control. I think with some new ideas in Tallahassee, we could probably get that under control. But the affordable condo that just passed, it's not going to be as fruitful as maybe some people are thinking. With my plan on the insurance, it's taking the number one risk that pushes insurance companies out or makes them go bankrupt, and putting it in the responsibility of the state. And it's the same model as the National Flood Insurance Plan or even Medicare, right? Everybody understands what Medicare is. You go to a carrier, they write the policy, the government takes care of those funds. So having the carrier write the policy, you don't have to worry about, the state doesn't have to worry about any of that. Let the carriers handle it. We just write them a check. I've not met one person that is happy with Citizens Insurance. and in all reality, I've heard nightmare stories about Citizens.
Those are people that have had to make claims with them.
Yeah. And think of it this way. You go with a carrier that goes insolvent and you get transferred to Citizens. And now you're over here and they don't know what you have. They didn't write your policy, right? And then all of a sudden, now they're defund or depopular. I think I said that right.
Depopulating?
Yeah. And they're sending them back to another carrier. So you got a customer that's been bounced around to multiple different carriers and now even getting canceled by Citizens. That is not what people pay for. But if that is the last resort insurance carrier, they don't have an option, right?
It's true. We felt like we didn't have an option because when we switched over, our insurance went up to like $3,500 a year. And we live in a small, little, tiny, itty bitty house. So to pay that kind of money, it's not for an extravagant home. You know what I'm saying? So it was a great hike from paying, $1,200 a year. And so we went to Citizens because Citizens brought us back down to where we were within $100 difference, and then after Citizens got popular, Citizens started increasing their prices.
Yeah. Well, think of it this way is you have an insurance carrier that is the last resort. You have no other options. And if you do, you're paying 4 or 5, 10 times what you normally should. We have made this into a mess, and this is how we did this. We allowed the insurance companies to handpick what they want, and if they don't want it, they deny it, and then they have to force it over to Citizens. Mm-hmm. So they get the prime homes that are low risk, that they're not going to lose money on, and the state has to pick up the ones that are higher risk. So if we eliminate to where they get to cherry pick whatever it is and just take over the risk that they don't want to take on and handle it that way, we will have more competition here. We will have more choices and the abilities the market will fix itself. And that's the biggest thing that, we need here is you don't have that many options. There's only a handful of carriers here that you can choose from. And most of them, your bigger carriers, they won't write a policy if your house is over 5 years old. So, that's the biggest push, is getting more carriers to come here.
I'm at that age where I'm starting to think about retirement, getting older. I still have several years, but those years come by pretty fast. The older you get, seems like the days are shorter. But, I'm thinking, I like the idea if I paid off my house and I didn't have to pay taxes, and then I'm living on a fixed income, my house is always going to still increase in taxes because, the homes around me are increasing in taxes. So if you've got a mortgage, you won't be in the same place as me if I paid it off and I don't have to pay taxes on it anymore. But because you have a mortgage, you're still paying taxes on it. But right now, they've got my home appraised higher, but I didn't pay that. So I should be paying the taxes, if I'm going to be paying taxes, on a much, much lower amount. My taxes should never increase, is what I'm saying. From the day that I bought it, the taxes should be the same forever and ever and ever till I pay it off. And then I shouldn't have to pay any taxes. I should own it. I should own my house and my land. And,
Oh.
if I have to pay anything, I'm paying for my water, I'm paying for my sewer. I already have to pay for the pipes, the sewer pipes that break on my property under my house. It kind of pisses me off to think that the county, if they're doing work on it and they blow air in the pipes and it breaks a pipe under my house, I'm stuck paying for it. But if
Right.
I don't pay my taxes, they can take my entire house.
Yeah.
It's kind of not fair. It's
There's so many things that we can fix and make them better. And I look forward to taking on those challenges when I'm elected. One of my property tax plans would be to freeze your property taxes once you purchase your home. So the moment you purchase your home, whatever the value is on that home, your taxes are going to be that same amount as long as you live in the home. It never goes up. It stays the same. And it kind of puts your local officials on, hey, you're going to have to budget. You can't go up 10% a year. You can't go up 3% a year.
Yeah,
These
and you
are
can't
unrealized.
And you can't use our discretionary funds to spend $4 million on nonprofit organizations.
Yes.
That burns me.
And it's unrealized gains. You're paying taxes on unrealized gains of how much is your house worth in fairy world, right? It makes no sense on why that should continue to take place. Once you sell it, that's a true value, right? Some people have a fixed income. If you make it to where they can plan accordingly, it makes things a lot simpler for people to manage. But when you have 10% tax increase and 30-40% insurance increase, you're putting people in a really bad situation.
Yeah, and Jason, we're all going to end up on fixed incomes. No matter how you look at it, we all are going to end up on a fixed income.
Yeah. I wish I win the lottery, but you're very you're very true.
When we talk about people on fixed incomes, we should be talking about them like they are us, because we are going to be in that same situation.
There's a bunch of different ways to handle it, and I've heard of, there's one, hey, 65 and up, you don't pay property tax at all. There's different options to look at. Obviously, the older community is huge here in Florida, so anything that impacts the senior citizens or even our veterans, is important to really look at it and see what is best for them. Because if we're eliminating the property tax, do we tax them somewhere else? And we don't want that.
I think where we should start, Jason, this is my opinion, not yours. I think where we should start is if you pay off your house, no property tax. If you are retired and living on a fixed income, freeze your property tax.
Yeah.
And if your house is paid off and you're retired, then you fall in the same category as someone who paid off their house. You won't have a property tax. But if, some older people are still paying on their homes because they had to take a second mortgage or a second loan because of health issues or whatever else they needed it for. So they might have a small, or what do you call those loans that they take? Oh man, they take it. And is that it when they die? It comes
reverse mortgage?
Reverse mortgages. Some people get those reverse mortgages to survive, So there's a lot of different ways to look at it and get it implemented. But I truly feel if you paid for your house, and look, everybody works hard to own their house, to keep their house up, to pay it off. And it's not a given. You didn't just get your house. You worked your ass off your entire life to pay that bitch off. Yeah. So you should own it free and clear.
Absolutely.
And nobody should be able to take your home from you because you missed a property tax, because that just compounds your fixed income. And we are all of us, everybody in the United
At some
States
point,
is
yes.
going to be on a fixed income at some point, and it will drive the incentive for people to stay together and pay off their homes. It really will. People just
Yeah.
sell their house and move, sell their house and move, sell their house and move. But I think it will be a driving force to not only get people to stay in their homes, own their homes, pass their homes down to their kids, but it will be a driving force for the counties to start looking for other ways to collect income tax and do it through businesses. Bring business to your county. Do a whole demographics analysis of your county and how you want that to look, and how the community wants it to look and grow, and where you want to put businesses. Where, like, our county is small, Brevard County is big. You guys have all the cool jobs over there and the airspace and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been preaching for years, our neighbors are in aerospace. Why the hell don't we do semiconductors here?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're a small town, but we have property. And why are we just throwing houses and storage units and gas stations on it when we could start, enticing businesses? And then when businesses hire people have good paying jobs, they spend money in your county, and that's how taxes grow. And you get a reputation of, hey, that's a good county to live in. It's a cycle, Jason.
Yeah. You got to feed the beast, and that's kind of the
you got to incentivize the beast too.
Yeah, and it all boils down to your elected officials and how the city or county or even the state level is run. And not everybody is business inclined, because that's kind of what you're running is as far as a city or a county is a business. So what's good for the people and how those things are done, it's all perspective.
Yeah, and I think it's all possible. They just got to play around with the ideas. And I think, like in our county, we've had some county commissioners that, and the county commission pretty much runs your budget. So they've been in office for so long that their minds haven't shifted to the times. They're still, there's no progression here when it comes to competitive jobs, but there's progression around building housing, beautiful housing, unaffordable housing. But who the heck is going to live here? And I'm saying this because the retirement community that is living here now had a lot of kids, but their kids aren't having a lot of kids. So to me, in my head, I'm thinking, hey, we'll talk small numbers. There's 100 people living in this town that are all retired. And after they die, now there's 50 people of retired living in this town. And after they die, because they all decided to have one kid, the numbers keep getting smaller to the point where now you don't have anybody supporting the town.
Yeah.
Get old and die and retire.
And I think that I think we rely on people migrating here more than anything.
Yeah, that's a bad thing.
And the people that migrate here, sometimes you don't want them here.
Yeah, they just want to change our little towns. I mean, we've got people that come here, they leave the big cities that have everything, and then that have all of the social issues and the social program issues and all of the homeless. I mean, just Brevard County has probably seen an uptick in homeless, like Indian River County has. I mean, I was just driving down US 1 today, and where they have like this little house to help the homeless. Well, it's off of US 1, but on US 1, there's like 10 of them all sitting on the sidewalk, just chilling out with their trash bags and their bags. And then I'm looking on the left, and then I look on the right, and just up the street near the Taco Bell, there's some more people hanging out over there. And I'm like, what's happening?
Central Florida has seen an uptick on homeless, unfortunately. And as rents continue to climb, our homeless community is going to continue to grow until we kind of get that under control.
Well, isn't that what happened to New York? Isn't that what happened to New Jersey? New Jersey used to be a little like, country town place. They've got a lot of issues over there now. Pennsylvania, look at California. Oh my gosh.
California has so many problems. It's a laundry list.
And it's coming here. It's coming here. And our county commissioners are talking about more social programs. Those are the worst things to do, is create more governmental social programs, because they don't work. They haven't worked in California. I mean, it was what, 2014 when I found the poop app for California. So if you're visiting California, it shows you on the map all the little poop areas where you will find human feces. So stay away from those areas. That was like 2014. I found that. So it's like social programs do not help, because there's no accountability on where that money is actually going. And there's no accountability on who's really running the programs. You always have someone in the program selling the great idea, giving you the data, but you never see rarely do you see live actual testimonies of the people they say they're helping. Rarely.
Some of these social programs, I think they're just good in name only, and really just something that somebody can hang their hat on, saying we did it, right?
Yeah.
They never go as planned. There's usually a lot of waste and fraud associated with those programs, and it's not as intended normally. Like food stamps, that is the biggest social program that most people know, but it's not a program that's
well, it doesn't promote family life. If you want to go on welfare, your husband can't live with you. Hello, it's supposed to be a hand up. It's more like, kick him out of the house. Now you have one baby daddy, you have two baby daddy, you have three baby. It encourages that. It doesn't, like, if it was a program that said, okay, the husband can live in the house, he's working, we'll have a counselor come and help you out. Does he need education? That's a leg up program. You have about, college to get your AA is 2 years. We'll give you 2 years. Get into a trade. You would have these people on it for 2 years and then independently on their own. But no, we had these people on for decades and lifespans, and then their kids grew up understanding only that. And you're just breeding another generation to live off of welfare.
True. Yeah. And we could talk about all the screwed up things in our society from now to the end of the year. There's a lot of things to fix, for sure.
Jason, I'm just having such a good time with you today. I really do apologize. Oh my goodness, it's almost 9 o'clock. Well, Jason, I want to thank you so much for coming on, and look forward to you coming back on next month and giving us some updates on what's going on.
Absolutely.
All right.
Want to let everybody know that I have Coffee with a Candidate this Saturday from 9 to 11:30 in Edgewater. It's 2939 South Ridgewood. Coffee will be provided by me, King's Coffee. They're a great company out there. I've known them a while. They serve a great cup of brew. And bring your questions in your cup. Come visit.
Was that at 2939 South Ridge?
South Ridgewood.
South Ridgewood. And that's where? South
Edgewater.
Ridgewood, Edgewater. Coffee with Jason. Boelze. I'm typing.
I also have another. I have another candidate. He's going to join me. He's running for Volusia County District Seat 6, Mike P. I always tear up his last name. I just call him Mike P. He'll be out there with me as well. So you kind of get a nice duo that you can kind of throw a bunch of questions at us.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. And that's on August 11th?
This Saturday, is it the 11th or 12th?
The 12th. No, it's got to be the 11th because
Is it?
let me see. At what time was that?
From 9 a.m. to 11:30.
August 11th is on Monday.
I'm sorry. It's
August 10th?
9th.
August 9th. Here, I'll put it
Yeah.
up here. August 9th at what time was that?
9 a.m.
At
I'm
9
sorry.
a.m.
No. Is it 9? Yeah, 9 to 11:30.
9 to 11:30 a.m. All right, and that's with Mike P, right?
That's right.
We'll be there also. So we're gonna scroll it, put an ad, a banner. Show. There we go. How's that? 2939 South Ridgewood, Edgewater Coffee with Jason Voelz on August 9th at 9 to 11:30 a.m. Mike P will also be there as well.
Great.
All right. Well, you have a good evening, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Binford Chronicles. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to get notified when I go live. Remember to visit the board report. I host that as well. And that's every Friday at 7 p.m. Go to IndianRiverConnections.com. The board report is brought to you by Indian River Connections. Visit our partner podcasters at IndianRiverConnections.com and check us out on Rumble, X, Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. Thank you and have a great evening.